Thanks for tuning in to the video series on Akron's curbside recycling program. Have you been curious about what happens to your recyclables once they leave your curb? Well, we'll go to Green Star and find out the process from start to finish. Stay tuned. So now we're inside Green Star's plant. You can see it in the background here. And with me is Scott Dellinger. Scott, will you tell us a little bit about what you do with Green Star Recycling?
Yes, I'm the municipal recycling consultant for Green Star in the East region. Basically, anytime there is a municipality or government that would like to participate or expand their recycling services, they usually call me in to help them establish long-term and successful recycling programs.
That's great. Now, Scott, I brought with me a little prop, and this seemed to be the best example of something that I wasn't quite sure if we could recycle it or not, because it's actually three materials, correct? It's paper, it's plastic, and it has some metal. So tell us about this.
It is. It's considered a septic carton. It falls into the same category as your milk and your juice boxes that are in your dairy aisle. All of those materials are very much recoverable. In fact, we have a scanner here that positively sorts and recovers that material. Most of that material goes to the tissue paper industry, and it becomes a lot of tissue. It's a very bright white and strong fiber, and it's very useful for their purposes.
And I'd like to ask, now being open in Akron for a few months, what have you found to be the most common contaminants in the curbside recycling program?
Well, some of the most common things that cause us problems are predominantly the automotive parts. Automotive parts are very much recyclable, but they typically need to go to a scrap metal yard or a junk yard to be handled properly. Our system is designed to capture materials that are commonly produced in your house or purchased at a grocery store. If it can't be produced at your house or it's not typically purchased at a grocery store, it probably doesn't work well for our purposes. Things like brake rotors and heavy metal objects, if they get through our system, cause us a lot of breakage and downtime. We've found things like heavy metal steel spikes from the railroad industry. Don't ask me who has railroad spikes at their house, but for some reason they've managed to find their way through here. Some of the other things that cause us a lot of problems are things like garden hoses, long stringy items that will wrap around our screens and cause us a lot of shutdown time for cleaning and contamination removal. Yard waste has been a problem, and most recently we've uncovered a problem with some hypodermic needles that are finding their way into our system. That's pretty common that people who have diabetes or are insulin dependent use those syringes. They tend to store them in HDPE colored or laundry detergent bottles, and instead of disposing them in the trash where they belong, they end up in the recycling bin. When they come here, it shuts our plant down because we have to properly handle those and remove them and make sure they're handled appropriately. So it tends to cause us a little bit of difficulty.
Well, thanks so much for sharing all of that. And now Scott is going to walk us step by step through the entire process. Check it out. It's so cool.
When your material that you recycle from your home reaches our tip floor at Green Star Recycling, and the tip floor is the area where the trucks dump their materials prior to the sorting process. When it hits that area, we feed them into a bin that feeds it into our system. That runs up an inclined belt that we call, and it runs through a back scraping drum or a drum feed that gives us a nice metered, consistent flow of material into our system. At the top of that belt, we reach our pre-sort, which is a manned section of the line where we have 6 employees that sort trash, open up bags, and remove things that will cause us issues down the line in the recycling process. Once the material has cleared our pre-sort, the first item that we remove is cardboard. Cardboard is sorted through a series of screens that we call OCC or cardboard screens. The next thing we look for and the next thing that we positively sort is newspaper. After the material has left the cardboard screen, newspaper runs through a series of 3 different sorting screens. The next thing we do is we remove our tin through a magnet. The magnet attracts ferrous metals. Aluminum cans are removed through an eddy current. An eddy current is a large magnet that spins very rapidly inside of a drum. The next thing we scan for are aseptic cartons and juice boxes. The plastic is then sorted through a series of optical scanners. Once the material has cleared all of the mechanical sorting, it is all put onto conveyors and run through a series of quality control where we have manual people standing on the line to make sure that we produce a high quality product that is mill quality ready. and capable of being sorted and used at the mills. When the material clears all of our sorting stations, it is put into storage bunkers that are ejected through a bale operator and called to our baler. When the materials hit our baler, they create a high-density cube that is automatically tied through a series of steel wires. When the baler ejects it, we store that material in our inventory control area until we have enough material to create a full truckload quantity to send to the mill.